What's going on, everyone? This is ryandrew, and here's another inking demo of a drawing by Jack Kirby of Captain America. This was a drawing he did for somebody else, it looks like, but I really like the pose. So here's the final result of that ink drawing, and I will show you the tools that I used to do this. So let's go. So first of all, what I've been doing is I printed these out on 8.5 by 11 cardstock. I take the penciled image and just kind of print it out really light on paper that'll fit through the printer. Cardstock's a good choice. The ink I've been using is Speedball Super Black India ink. I find it's a good ink for these kind of drawings. It ends up pretty well, looks really nice. And this brush that I've been using is size 1 Winsor Newton Series 7 Kolinsky Sable brush. I use the size 1 because it's a smaller drawing and it gives me more control of my lines at this size. So I'm just going to pour some ink out here, not too much right now. I'm just starting off here. And I like to do what's called tapering the tip of the brush first. You just get enough ink into the brush and into the tip so that you can get a nice fine line. What I do is I just roll it around on scratch paper and just get a nice crisp line before I start inking. Not too much ink, but enough to get some really good lines. All right, so let's get started. I like to start left to right. For this video, I will not be starting on the face. I usually start on the face, but I wanted to start left to right here so that I'm not dragging my hand through the drawing. That's where the ink is still drawing. If I weren't filming this, I probably would just go right for the head and just, rotate the paper around. But for the purpose of this video, I go left to right, and I'm just going to go try to do the contour lines first of the different shapes. You can see how much ink you can put down pretty easily with not a lot of pressure. So the goal here is to just learn to control that brush as I'm inking. And that's also the goal too, is to get a nice continuous line like I did from the back there. You want to try to get as smooth of a line as possible on these contour lines. If that's your style, I mean, this is Jack Kirby, and I wanted to try to ink this how his inkers would have inked it. Back then, it was very well executed line work. It wasn't a lot of scratchiness, but definitely if that's your style, you could do that as well. My goal with this is to try to do very crisp, continuous, solid lines. There's definitely an importance to varying the line weight on these images, especially to show mass of an object by using thicker lines toward like the bottom or underside of an object away from the light source, just showing you that volume, giving you an indication of volume of the object, without having to do a lot of cross-hatching techniques. They definitely did a lot of this back then when they inked because they didn't really have as much of the luxury of nicer paper when they were printing comics, because they were printing them on like newsprint and cheaper paper. So they put a lot of this line weight technique to good use back then. So that's what I'm trying to do when I ink these. You can definitely use, and I should have used a French curve on this shield to knock this shape out to give a nice round shape on the shield, but I just want to do this freehand for the video here. If you think about it, I've been doing a lot of drawings of Vikings and things lately, and their shield is pretty much the same size as Captain America's shield. It's kind of like a 2 foot, 3 foot diameter shield, right? I don't know. Maybe Captain America is kind of like a superhero Viking or of some sort. I don't know. And make sure when you are doing the face of your character that this is where you put the most kind of like effort into the facial expressions and everything. The face is the focal point of the character, mostly. So if you mess it up first, then, you know, you can just start over. So here, you know, I'm really kind of, I feel like I'm taking a risk. I'm like starting this halfway through the inking, but for the purposes of filming this, it just made a lot more sense. But yeah. Go make sure that you spend the amount of time necessary for the face. Ironically, Jack Kirby's faces that he drew for his characters, you know, maybe he could have spent a little bit more time on them. I don't know. He did a lot of he showed a lot of emotion through his faces, but sometimes you look at some of the characters and they're pretty rough in terms of how they're portrayed. So it's kind of funny to me. It's like he really focused on exaggeration of emotion and gesture more than realism. So here I'm following his pencil as much as possible, and he's really got that classic superhero square jaw, you know, solid jaw superhero face for Captain America. What I'll do too is when I start to do like the thicker areas, I'll just kind of block in where the edges of those shadows are going to be, and then just kind of leave that for later to fill those in later on. I just want to focus on trying to get the really crisp lines and I don't know how you could describe this. The way that he did like muscle and trying to show shading of muscle is pretty unique. So I try to do those all in one go first, and then I'll come back and do the larger areas of black later. Usually what you do when you want to come back and fill in that area with black, you'll put like X's in there, or I'll just put dots in there letting me know that I'm going to fill that in with black. Just a little reminder for yourself. One thing I really appreciate about Jack Kirby's characters is he really tried to simplify the designs as much as possible while making them very distinct and characteristic and iconic. So, you know, it's a pretty simple costume for Captain America, but it's just very iconic and distinct here. He's got elements of the flag worked into his the top part of his costume there. And I just love inking with a brush. You can really get that nice, crisp, continuous line when you do these elements, right? Another thing too is you'll notice like these details, like the fish scales type things on his costume. You know, you don't have to do all of them. You don't have to draw all of them. You can just kind of ink in a couple of them here and there to give you the overall indication that it's kind of filled with that. So that's what I appreciate about his drawing too. And I just love the little elements where he's got the thick and thin, indicating like, you know, his muscles and the different muscles of the shoulder as it's turned in like that. It's really cool. It's like Kirby created his own language with how he depicted muscles and things in his drawings. He didn't use a lot of the cross-hatching techniques that you'd think fine artists would use. He really kind of created his own little way of doing it that's very iconic, and it's just really fun to ink. Definitely best to ink it, I think, with a brush. And again, now I'm going back through here and I'm just filling in those areas that I had marked that would be filled in. Just going in there and just throwing in the solid blacks. It's so much easier to do this with brush than it is with a dip pen, fountain pen. It just makes so much sense to me why a lot of these giants of the comics industry back in the 40s and 50s used brushes because it just makes your work so much faster. And definitely at the scale they were inking at, you know, like 11 by 17, 12 by 18, whatever the size there was they were inking at. When you have like a size 2 brush, it just makes it go so much faster. So this is the goal for me. It's learning how to master the brush in inking. Another artist or another inker that really has his own way of doing these kind of areas of solid black and inking uniquely is Mike Mignola with Hellboy and all those kind of series. He kind of takes the same approach. You don't have to show everything, and when you put things in solid black, just straight up black, it communicates better the volume and the light source than if you were to try to like work really hard on rendering all the different details and cross-hatching. So this is one of the things I'm trying to learn as I'm doing these inking exercises here. And throw in just a faint indication of a background or dirt or whatever he's running on back there in the background. And I'll just finish up here, just ink in those words in his signature, and I'll throw my signature on top of there that I'm doing this in the style of Jack Kirby. Again, this was a drawing for a friend, it looks like, so you don't have to have all the details, you don't have to have all the background information. Sometimes you just need to have that really iconic image and nice indication of motion and action just in the pose that Captain America has here. Like he's getting ready to spring into action, start fighting some bad guys. And that's it, guys. Captain America by Jack Kirby. Hope you learned along with me how to approach indicating light source and volume and all those kind of things that Jack Kirby was pretty well known for with his work back in the 40s and 50s and 60s and all of that. These are fun to do. I will plan on releasing another one of these videos as soon as I can. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you want, you can check me out on my socials, Instagram, Twitter, all that kind of stuff. And you can check out my Patreon as well if you'd like to support me there. But these are fun to do. I will be back with another one. And I hope you all had a good time. Thanks for watching. Well, hey everyone, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you got something out of it, and if you did, please leave me a comment below and let me know what you thought. Until the next time, guys, God bless, and I'll see you all later.